Alright,
So you're going to have to like hold still now. It's quite a delay.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Today, it's my honor to promote 3 individuals to sergeant. And for those of you joining us online, again, I want to thank you for joining us. Apologize you couldn't be here in person, but because of our current pandemic, we are still in restrictions. So thank you. Hopefully this at least allows you to share in their accomplishments today. So first of all, Sergeant Diaz, come on up here. I'll have you stand. Please, sir. All right. So first up, Sergeant Diaz. Again, we have 3. It's an honor for me to promote 3 today. But Miguel Diaz is being promoted. He's been here just over 20 years. And you're going to see, again, a common theme when we promote supervisors. They just haven't worked one assignment. So they've worked a multitude of assignments throughout the entire agency. Each of these 3 today have worked in different bureaus, some in almost all 3 bureaus. Actually, Markin has worked in all 3 bureaus. So they bring a lot of experience from learning from the job that they are going to impart. And in talking to all 3, a couple of questions I always ask. Are you excited? And like all of us, everybody's extremely excited. It's an accomplishment. They've worked hard this last year during the testing process, studying, and through the first 20 years. For Miguel, getting prepared for this moment. But they're also a little nervous. It's a new challenge. For all of them, they haven't been, and traditionally for those watching online, at the Sheriff's Office, traditionally when you promote, you go back to the detention facility. So all 3 are coming from operations. So all 3 are going back to detention where they have not been in several years. So the new challenge of processes and what we've changed in the jail, and just the new challenges of becoming a supervisor. But Miguel worked in the jail, started out there, went into patrol. He's been out in patrol since '06, so 14 years. Once on patrol, he went into motors. He's been on motors for several years. Radar school, he was a radar instructor, DUI task force, and then all of our motors are on MATE, which is Major Accident Investigation Team. So all of our tragic accidents or major accidents where there's some major injuries, that team goes out and investigates. So he brings that experience back in now as a supervisor. And again, one thing I like when I have people retire, I ask them, because a lot of times they bring a lot of knowledge and experience that they've learned over the years. What would they tell the new ones? We just had 8 deputies that just graduated the academy, and we had 6 that just graduated FTO, and we have 21 starting in a couple weeks at the next academy. And things have changed over the last 20 years. But one of the things I asked Miguel, I'm like, what would you tell the new deputies? And what will you tell your current deputies when you go out back to the jail? Some you may not have seen, unless you were instructing over in the academy. And the one thing he said, I think it speaks volumes, is as new recruits, as we come over from the academy or wherever, you have a lot of knowledge, but you don't yet have that experience. So learn from your instructors, and then as you learn from your instructors, apply the knowledge that you have to gain that experience. And I think that's perfect, because then I smiled and I said, well, when I asked him what was one of his challenges or goals, his first year as sergeant, he said, I want to learn all the procedures, how to be the best supervisor that I can be from those that are training me. And that goes right into what he would tell the new employees, right? He has all this experience. The 3 today have all that experience, but now they're going to take a new edition of learning what it is to be a supervisor, that next step, and applying that experience or that knowledge to become that experienced supervisor. But he was very excited, and I asked him, what do you want to accomplish your first year? What is that goal you set out as a supervisor? And the one thing, and I know, knowing Miguel over the last 20 years, is he said, I want to, 1, learn the job the best I can, so that when it's my opportunity to not only pass on the experience as a supervisor to the next newest supervisor, but also to pass that knowledge of MATE and motors and patrol and everything else he's learned over the last 20 years to those new deputies, or the more tenured deputies that may be getting ready to go to patrol, or the ones that are just working in the jail and that's where their career is. But how do they improve on what they do and pass on that knowledge? Was that he wanted to get to know them personally. And I think it speaks volumes after what we've experienced over the last week of taking care of our people and knowing who our people are. And some of the things of our goals of this next coming year, we've talked about the last 2 years when it comes to mental health, but knowing your people, their first names, knowing a little bit about who they are, who their families are. And the one thing, again, is we're talking with Miguel, who do you think? And Miguel first, pointed out that Carolyn and his wife, Devin, he wants to thank you. He recognizes he would not be here without your guys' support. Just like when we have people retire, we don't get to where we get in our careers, whether it's the end or whether we promote, without the assistance of our family. You guys have missed, when he's missed events, you've helped him, I'm sure, studying for those oral boards, hopefully, as you asked him the questions and you were his sounding board, or you just led by example. So he wanted to thank you too. He also wanted to thank, and unfortunately we don't have a lot, but those that are watching online, thank all of his peers here at the Sheriff's Office and at the other agencies, because he's had that opportunity working in task forces, that all those experiences working with fellow agencies and the peers here at this office have made him who he is and have made him successful in making this next challenge and leap to sergeant. So those are some of the things he was thankful for. And like I said, I think one of the things I got out of Miguel was, and I can't stress it enough, so I'm going to hit home one more time on it, was the ability of his I like to be personal. Right? We always, in this culture, in this organization, we have this command structure, and it's sergeant, captain, lieutenant, and sir, and yes ma'am, and no ma'am. But we sometimes often forget about the person behind and underneath that uniform. And so with each of these three, but especially with Miguel, that was the one thing I took away, was him getting to know his people. Because we can't forget about our people, because they are what makes this organization, the community, the great community that it is. So I'm excited and honored to promote you today. So with that, we're just gonna, this may fall apart, so I'm just gonna step aside here. All right. So from the Washington County Sheriff's Office, Miguel Diaz, congratulations. From the Washington County Sheriff's Office, your friends and supervisors for promotion to sergeant, January 4th, 2021. Congratulations. Thanks, sir. And we'll, is this okay? Is this good back, Gabby?
That's fine.
You all can clap. There we go. There we go. Come on. And who would you like? Carolyn. All right, Carolyn, come on up. You know what? Let's see. We gotta get good photos. Yeah, will you help me just so this bad boy doesn't fall apart? If I move right there, Gabby, am I good? Okay. See? So, here's where, as I jokingly say, you can get back for all those times. You can just, yeah. Oh, he does have his vest on, but it's still a puncture. But go ahead. And there you go. Gabby will set you up if you want to photo together. Awesome. And then we'll do a family after. And then Carolyn, on behalf of the executive staff, this is from us, thanking you for all your support with Miguel and getting him to where he is now, getting him through the last 20 years and hopefully many more years. We want to thank you for everything you've done to help him get where he is and helping raise the beautiful family that you have. All right, congratulations. All right, Robert Markin, come on up here. All right, so we changed it up. I'll have you stand right here, so you'll be nice and center. Yeah, kick that over. I thought we needed somebody. All right, so my next is Robert Markin. Again, been here 16 plus years. And like I said before, started out in the jail, then he went into IMU, or our inmate classification unit, court transportation. They went into community relations, and so we just upgraded our webpage, but our previous one, Markin helped build that webpage as we started to become more technologically savvy and use the internet more. Then he went into patrol, then he went into detectives, and then he's just coming out of patrol again and getting ready to join as a sergeant. And again, a couple of things I asked him. I asked, what's one of your goals as a sergeant? right? We preach that in this organization. We always have to have a vision. We always have to have something we're shooting for. And for him, it was, again, to learn, to familiarize almost the leadership quote that comes out of one of the classes that Miguel was talking about. If you have that experience or the knowledge, now listen to your instructors and gain that experience and apply your knowledge so that you have that experience. And so for him, he hasn't been in the jail for 8 years, so a lot's changed. And so, his first goal was one, learning the core foundations of being a good supervisor, being the best supervisor he could be. And then looking around, he does have a good background and on the side has some web page design stuff, techie stuff. But learning where can we, as we move forward in the organization, become more technologically efficient. Because that is the wave, as we all know. Unfortunately, technology is interwoven into our lives. It's getting even more interwoven. But if there's a way that we could become more efficient and effective, then that makes it better than doing the old handwritten notepads that we know disappear. But also, he said, taking his experience that he's learned while he worked in a jail, moved around in IMU, moved around in court transport, being down at the courts and learning that perspective, being in patrol, and being in detectives, and again, working with those other agencies. And imparting that, once he learns his core stuff of a supervisor, onto the deputies. How, if you're in the jail, how do you become a better deputy in the jail, if that's where your career, if that's where you want it. Or if you're getting ready to go to patrol, how does some of the stuff he's learned, especially in detectives and that investigative side, how do you apply that so that you can prepare deputies? And so, again, each one of them noted that they wanted to make sure they passed on the knowledge that they have been given in their previous experience from others. Again, when I talked to him about what was one of his, hold on, let me flip it. Yep. One of his challenges, because as supervisors, we always face challenges as a new sergeant. What is it? A challenge. And again, it was, just like they all said, a little nervous, and being able to familiarize himself with that next core responsibility of being a supervisor. Because now, as we talked with all three today, it's just not you affect. Now as a sergeant, you're affecting everybody on that shift. You're affecting everybody in the community that your shift interacts with. All three, again, for those watching online, traditionally we start in the jail. So you're affecting all of those inmates that our deputies are watching over. And those decisions you make, and so how those decisions have a ripple effect. When I talked about, who's he most thankful for? Again, Jennifer, he's extremely thankful for you. Lucas, and Patience, Faith, and Isaiah. He's very thankful for all of you guys. Again, for everything being you may not realize it, especially for the kids. You think, parents are supposed to be role models and mentors for you, but you've also been a role model and mentor for him. And leading him and showing him through your actions of, again, the biggest thing I asked that Markin hit on, we talk about in the academy, is integrity. It's the one thing that you as an individual hold on to, and you as an individual can give it away. That's the only thing that you can give away. No one can take that from you. That is yours. And so by your actions and how you operate in society and interact, you have shown him how to be a good leader, and he's going to apply that when he goes as a supervisor. So he wants to thank all of you. And then for those watching online and out in our audience, it's all appears here. Again, working, we don't get to our roles, no matter if it's a deputy sheriff in patrol, detention, admin, a supervisor, or higher up, we don't get here without all the help of all of you. And so he wanted to make sure to thank all of you, and he highlighted how throughout his career as he moved through, people took the time to talk to him, took the time to impart knowledge and share the knowledge that they had gained throughout their career, so that it made him a better deputy, and then he's going to pass that on and hopefully be a better supervisor and mentor those like he was mentored. So with that, I'm going to step around here. Thank you, sir. So, Washington County Sheriff's Office, Robert Markin, congratulations from the Washington County Sheriff's Office, your friends and supervisors, for your promotion to Sergeant, January 4th, 2021. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right. And who was Jennifer, come on up. Again, this is. Don't worry, we're not all watching.
Okay.
We're not all watching.
Okay.
Nothing else. Once you get through the holes, you can just leave it. That's what I tell people.
Done it a couple times.
And Jennifer, on behalf of the executive staff, we want to thank you for everything. Thank you for sharing Robert with us, and thank you for helping him through everything he's done in his first 16 years, and hopefully many more. So thank you. Hey, you can't forget that. That's the important plaque. I mean, you want the badge, but the plaque, that's like...
Definitely won't forget
Huh? All right, Joshua Jenkins, come on up. All right, today we get to promote last Joshua Jenkins. So, been here 15 years. Again, same thing. Started out in detention, went into IMU, and that is, I want to hit on that for a minute because, like Robert Markin, IMU for the jail is like our detective division. It is where they classify and have a huge impact on how we manage inmates, how we safely house inmates, how do we safely apply if there's a disciplinary action, how do we safely inform our deputies if there's a threat within our detention facility on a certain inmate. That is key for IMU. And so Josh was in there. He also worked in House 3 and mental health. And then he went out to patrol. Then he went into detectives. And for the last 7 years, he started out in DEA. We then pulled him from DEA, which is Drug Enforcement Administration for those online, undercover narcotics. And then we put him in our ATAC, our All Threats, All Crimes, when we formed that unit several years ago in 17. Is when we started. And then in 2020, last year, we formed which is now called RNU, Regional Narcotics Unit. And so he's been undercover for 7 years. So we've been used to seeing him, and I heard when he shaved his beard, the kids may have thought there was a stranger in the house. Yeah? But he's had a beard because of undercover. But some of the things that, when I was talking to Jenkins, that I know is going to make him a successful supervisor, besides what I've already hit on. When I asked, what's one of your goals? And besides the typical, I want to mentor, I want to learn my foundation, it was back to what we are going to thank all of you for him, and that was to repay back what people had done for him in his career. Pay back that experience and knowledge that they had done to him throughout his first 15 years in teaching him. We talked about how one sergeant, again, I'm going to hit on mental health. One of his sergeants in patrol, when he first went out to patrol, had him 25 at a 7-Eleven, or buy right. And they pulled up alongside, brand new, right off his FTO. He's worried, as new trainees or right after your trainee, what did I do wrong? Right? What was Sergeant need? And all the sergeant did was ask, how you doing? Are you getting enough sleep? How's everything going? How's the shift? He was just, he or she, whoever was a sergeant, was just checking on him. Right? And that was one of the things that stuck with him that I know he will impart upon his employees. And one thing that, again, is a goal of this office, has been, but will now be one of our top priorities, is our mental health and taking care of our employees and making sure they're okay. And repaying, again, back, that was his goal. I want to repay back and mentor either the new trainees that are coming in. We just had 8 that I told you about, the 21 that are starting, or even some that may have been here a couple of years, or maybe some that are tenured. There's still stuff that Josh has learned throughout his career that he can inform them of and educate them on. And they can learn from them. One of the other things, again, I asked all 3, but I'll share what Josh said. I said, what would you tell the new deputies coming in? Our world has changed this last year. I can say it's a first for all of us because none of us have lived through a pandemic. None of us have lived through some of the other stuff we've had. So it was new. And we keep hearing this theme that people don't want to come in law enforcement. And what he said was the world's changed. We all know that. But the public trusts that we're going to do the right thing all the time, no matter how tough the challenge is. And I think that's absolutely correct. Right? We are expected to do the right thing even when no one's looking. We know that we face challenges. We face this pandemic. We've overcome it. He has a injured back that he's overcoming. He's facing those challenges. So I know he's going to take what he's learned in his career and overcome and apply that to our new deputies. And so I'm extremely excited to see what he does for our future deputies because that is our future generations that will replace all of us in this room. We wanted to thank, as we started talking about, Charity, Hayden, and Reagan. I love it, Reagan. I can tell which one by your hand. For everything you guys have done. Again, I would say just for all the kids. You guys may not think about it, but the way you interact, the way you learn from your mom and dad, he learns from you as well. And when we were talking about, especially when it's doing the right thing, he's watched you, and as you've interacted at school with your friends, you guys have been role models that you may not have realized to all your parents here. And so he's very appreciative for that. He's appreciative when he's missed special events. And being a new sergeant and kind of being junior, he may miss some special events this year. But thank you for everything, because he would not be able to be here without, and his sister. Thank you for everything. And then everybody here. Again, it goes back to what his goal is. Repaying back what you guys have done for him. Preparing him for this position, preparing him for this role. Now he's going to take what you've imparted upon him, and he wants to thank you for preparing him, whether it was grilling him this last year, sitting down with him, sharing information about the test, having him take over calls, and putting him in that temporary supervisor role so that he was prepared. He truly appreciates that, and everybody online that's watching. So thank you very much to everybody. So with that, Washoe County Sheriff's Office, Joshua Jenkins, congratulations from the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, your friends and supervisors, for your promotion to Sergeant, January 4th, 2021. Congratulations. We'll call it Smile. Smile, since they can't see our mouth, hopefully one day. Jeremy's doing it? Okay, come on up. He's wearing a vest, so you're good. And then Charity, on behalf of the executive staff, thank you for everything. Thank you for supporting Josh. I'm sure, again, this last year, especially during our oral boards, for all the wives, probably wasn't the most fun time you've been through, but thank you. Congratulations. All right. So that would end our promotions for this round. We'll have several more later on this year. I want to thank everybody, all the family members that were here. When we're done, please come up and we'll move this and you guys can take family photos. For those online, again, thank you for joining us this way. We apologize we couldn't have everybody here in person. Hopefully soon this year we can do that. And for those that were able to attend, thank you for joining us. And congratulations to you three, and we'll see you on the line. Thank you very much.